There's some other events out there, and they're up and coming, through the ranks. But for the most part, the big events, I think, are all three of them, including yours.
Well, and I think it's good. I think between the three events, we've spaced it out enough that it's not like overkill. I do see a lot of other guys coming on board, and everybody's trying to make their attempt at doing a competition. But there's going to become a point when it just people get tired of them.
Sure, right, exactly.
So that was our hope, is to be one of the big three.
Absolutely.
And kind of make our impact on that.
Well, they say timing's everything.
It is.
I think the timing, and I think, like you said, as far as spacing it out throughout the year, you and I were talking a week ago or so about do I do it pre outdoor harvest or after? And I think just right in the niche that you guys have hit, I think is really a good shot for you guys.
On. Very cool.
Yeah.
So coming up from Mahatma, you guys are going to now enter into the shatter world, right? Because you weren't really doing that at first. You were focusing mostly on wax, correct?
Correct. Right. So we jumped in and kind of relaunched, restabilized the company in April after the first place at the High Times Cannabis Cup. And, not that it took us by surprise, but it did take us by surprise. We've always been pretty proud of what we do. And, back in April and a few months before then, we had an extractor gym that was a key part to Mahatma. And so, after winning that, it was kind of like, okay, let's put our head down and let's focus and let's relaunch and re-strategize, and that's what we did. But for the most part, wax has been, kind of our mainstay product.
Right.
We're an edibles company with a MIPS license, but we only produce extractions. So that's what we've tried to focus on and do really well. The shatter kind of hit the market. It's been around, but it's definitely taken off, and we decided that, it would be best for us to try to launch into this shatter category, or launch into the shatter, and doing it right, making sure that all of our testing is done, making sure that we have the cleanest product when we do bring it to market, and that's part of just what we've learned is kind of slow down and do things right. Unfortunately, there's a lot of dirty product out there,
sure.
And we're pretty committed as far as testing is concerned, and everybody's pretty much going to have to be committed next year in 2014,
right,
starting with this recreational law as far as testing is concerned. But for the most part, we just we're pretty excited about it. We're launching it November 25th. It'll be on shelves at the certain dispensaries that we're in right now.
Well, and we were lucky enough to get a little sample of it last week.
That's right.
I think it was the Golden Goat.
Yes.
And the one thing we were saying about it, weren't we, Chris? It was super tasty. Had this wonderful lemon flavor to it, which I wasn't expecting. It was a nice surprise, and and clean. It was a really clean hit to take in. And sometimes when I've taken in a concentrate, and Brett, I'm not a big concentrate guy, but in a way I'm a little pickier because of that. If I'm doing it, I can taste the chemicals, at least in my mind.
Right.
And every time I've tried any of your products, it just tastes really smooth and clean.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So I for those of you who have never tried Mahatma Extreme concentrates before, you definitely got to get out there. It's well worth it. And now with the shatter coming out, it's a whole other ballgame. I mean, I really am already recommending this to people. I was like,
nice.
When this shatter comes out, you guys definitely got to try it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's a big hands out applause to our guys in production. From Jeremy to Ryan. Ryan wanted me to give him a little shout out today at Dirty Blunts on Instagram. But nonetheless, everybody's just pretty much focused, and it's having a core group of guys that are all kind of thinking along the same lines of, if we're going to do it, let's do it the best. And so thank you very much for noticing, very much so.
Well, and I think it says a lot, Brett. I mean, what you're saying is, we're going to do it slowly. We're going to do it right. I think so often in this industry, everything seems to be moving at the speed of light as far as, oh, well, this is the new hot thing. Everybody's going to jump on this, and everybody's going to jump on this. And people do. They jump right on it, but they're not necessarily doing it right. And I like the fact that you say, okay, well, yeah, we'll enter the shatter market, but we're going to make sure when we enter, we're already entering with a superior product.
Yeah, I think what's important is exactly what you hit on, is the brand, There's expectations of what we've done in the past and where Mahatma is now. And so if Mahatma comes out with a new product, and this is no different than our company or any others out there, I think the main thing is to kind of carry the brand and make sure it represents well in any new product that's launched. So that's our main goal right now.
Very cool.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So So Mahatma, I mean, I always think Mahatma Gandhi. You know?
Yeah, right.
Is that how you came up with the name, or is there a specific meaning behind it?
There is. When Shannon and I kind of got together in 2009 and started discussing, collaboration. It was back in those crazy wild days where, where it was just going so fast, and house grows were going on, and I got involved in a big one myself, and I always like to relate this story to like Reese's peanut butter cups. Shannon had chocolate. I had peanut butter, and she had the licensing. I had the grow know-how, although she is a grower as well. But we kind of combined our efforts into to one. And so with that company, Mahatma Ganja LLC, it was definitely a play off of Mahatma Gandhi, and Shannon never really cared for it, so we shortened it down and did extreme concentrates to do the tag underneath it. And it was funny because for the first year, it's been a pretty rock and roll industry, like you said earlier. But for the first year, you got your head down, you're trying to get your plants figured out, and you're trying to get your spaces equalized.
Like, what regulations am I dealing with now?
Yeah. And so then, exactly. And so then when we started focusing a little bit on the marketing aspect, I actually looked up Mahatma and to see what the meaning was, and it kind of coincides with, not that we're a spiritual entity, but it's a higher form of thinking in a spiritual realm. So,
well, I think that's a perfect name, really, because I mean, cannabis itself is, whether you mean it to be or not, does have that tendency to have a spirituality to it.
True.
And I think it does speak to that higher realm. I think and again, when you're talking about concentrates, you're talking about an even higher realm. I think it's awesome. So now you started out as a grower. Were you already making concentrates kind of on the side for yourself? Is that like a completely new endeavor when you stopped doing the growing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think everybody that was in the 09 game, I remember at my house grow doing large amounts of pull downs, and had all this excess trim, and back then I wasn't really thinking about it, and there were a couple people out there picking up trim and getting and bringing returns back to you. And I just remember the first time that I did with my house grow, and I sent out 5-8 pounds, and I got it back. Number one, I felt like I was a little bit gypped. I felt that that I should have gotten more, and that's kind of an interesting one on its own. But the quality wasn't there. It was real oily and it was dark, and I could say back in 2009 I wasn't the best grower, but I was actually in it to win it and to learn the trade. And so as the years have gotten grown older on us as a company and me personally, the concentrate kind of the concentrate game with Mahatma kind of came about in 2011. We were really focused on growing and figuring out the plant and trying to produce, the best meds that we could. We were doing some contract growing back then, and then the laws changed with House Bill 1284, which really required everybody to kind of get that shotgun marriage.
Yeah, pretty much.
And long and the short, we ended up doing a shotgun marriage. We took it in the shorts from one company, and we said, "Hey, fuck this." Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, no, it's internet, man.
Okay, all right. Care. I said, "Fuck this." Let's
one more time.
Let's just ramp it up. We just decided to stand on our own and process everything. So from our OPC grow, what we do is, we essentially grow the plant, we delarf it, we defan it, we flush the hell out of it, and we cut it, we hang it, we dry it, cure it, and we blast the entire plant from top cola down. So to get back, in a roundabout question or answer, when we started, it was more focused on the plant, and we had this MIPS license that we wanted to do something with in the future, and then what we decided to do is at least launch it. And when we did it on a boutique level where we weren't trying to feed the masses or feed the general public in every location. So I think we were in maybe 3 locations when we started, and kind of built the brand and did this boutique wax and put our head down in that as well and started to figure it out. In the early days, it wasn't the cleanest, I'm sure.
Well, and so Mahatma, you've been doing concentrates. So what was the year that you started?
We started the company in 2010, but we started focusing at the beginning of 2011.
Because I remember one of our other companies, we were out there representing multiple companies, including a couple of wax companies out there, concentrate companies. And you guys were kind of like, everyone was like, "Have you heard about these guys, Mahatma?" And I was like, "No. Never heard of these guys." And you did. You started out very small, and I love that you started out in this boutique manner. I really do, because I really do think the dispensaries that kind of hit that niche. The companies, edible companies too, they said, look, we're going to do it small, but we're going to do it right. They're the ones growing in a really nice way. And the ones that started out really big but weren't necessarily giving the best product, they might have started out strong, but you can see their market share is going down and down and down without naming a few companies.
Well,
But we know there's some out there that
right.
that definitely have lost some of the wind in their sails, and it looks like, well, they're going slower. You guys are picking it up, and I think it's a really good thing to see. It's a testament to the fact that you guys are putting in the right work.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You know, I don't know how much more to elaborate on that. You know, but that's absolutely it. You know, it's kind of the old field of dreams. You know, if you build it, they will come, or if you do it right, you know, you'll be supported. And I think that's really what it boils down to.
Right on. Well, we have to go on a quick break, and when we get back, we are going to go. We'll talk a little bit about some news going on in Colorado.
Sure, perfect.
Too. All right, so we'll be right back with Brett from Mahatma Extreme Concentrates.
Call CannaSure at 1-800-420-5757 for all your insurance needs. CannaSure understands the risks you face each day, and we are there to protect your business and your investment. Since 2010, CannaSure has been serving the cannabis industry nationwide. Call CannaSure at 1-800-420-5757 or visit us on the web at CannaSure.com to learn more about our insurance and risk management services. Proud member of the NCIA.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
The National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
All right, so we're back with Brett from Mahatma Extreme Concentrates, and you know, we usually kind of we all know there's no real structure to this show. Let's just be honest, but we are going to cover some news because I'd be remiss to do it. And Miss Samantha Walsh, who could not make it today, would be really mad at me if I didn't mention one thing. The Department of Agriculture just came out with the rules and regulations for industrial hemp, and they're looking really good. We're going to have Samantha talk more about that next week because she's going to know the specifics, and I'm not going to try to BS my way through it. But hey, this is a huge, big step for Colorado, big step for hemp, and you know, helping create a more sustainable life through hemp. So really excited about that. Hats off to the Department of Ag for actually pushing that through pretty quickly without a lot of hullabaloo. Yeah, that was the word I was going to try to find a way to use today.
Hullabaloo. I like it.
Are you a big follower of the hemp industry at all?
You know, unfortunately, I'd love to say yes, but no, I don't follow it 100%. I know it's kind of been looming in the background.
Right.
There was a panel at the 710 Cup that was pretty interesting. It was kind of my first my first experience.
Yeah, we were on the panel.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
Samantha and I, and then Adam Dunn, and
that's exactly it.
Summer Star.
You guys opened my eyes to it then.
Yeah. Well, hey. I'm glad to know it. Yeah, we're really excited about that. In fact, you're going to be a sponsor for our event that Samantha and I are kind of putting together to help Healing Homes.
Yes.
Which was the goal of Healing Homes is to rebuild fire victims and flood victims' homes here in Colorado with hemp materials.
Absolutely.
So, you know, hats off to Mahatma for pitching in on that.
Thank you.
And for any of you out there who are interested, you can contact us through our Facebook page on the Hemp Connoisseur if you want to hear more about the New Year's Eve Black and White Gala that we're throwing to raise money for Healing Homes. We're going to get more and more information out as the weeks roll on. As we get closer and closer to New Year's, you'll probably start hearing it ad nauseum from us and get tired of it, but we're still going to keep pushing it because we want to raise a lot of money.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. You know, it's one of the things where, you know, working hard and head down, but when you start popping your head up to see what's going on and you've got a little bit of comfortability underneath your belt, you know, it's one of the things that, you know, us as an organization and a family have been wanting to figure out some type of organization, some charitable event that we can give back to. So we're super, super stoked to be a part of it.
Well, yeah, and we're excited to have you guys be a part of it. That was the same thing for us. It was I was like, when are we going to be as a company be able to find a way to give back to the community? And, you know, what we're good at is obviously doing the magazine marketing and throwing events. And so
for sure.
that was our way. It was like, well, let's just throw an event that's going to be a fundraiser, and it's going to be New Year's every year. Whether it's the same charity every year or we decide to do a different one, it's our way to like give an opportunity for the cannabis industry to give back. So,
I think it's fantastic. I think
it's going to be a fun.
You're on point on this one.
Right on, man. It's going to be fun. So some more things going on. Boulder is trying to come up with some additional regulations on cannabis.
Shocker.
Big shocker. And it's funny. We talked about this last week a little bit. It's weird. I mean, when you look at such a progressive city like Boulder, I feel like there's a circle where progressive and conservatism kind of lies. And, yes, there is a middle, but there's a point when you become so progressive that you end up becoming conservative again.
Sure.
It's like you're backdooring into conservatism, and that's kind of what Boulder is doing. They're like, for some, to me, when somebody says they're progressive, I feel like they're never going to try to limit freedom of speech. They're not, but they are. I mean, they're literally saying if you're a Boulder dispensary, you're not allowed to do coupons.
Yeah.
I mean, which again, the only industry in the world where there's a consumer, and you're saying you can't provide discounts for that consumer.
Right. That doesn't seem too right.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. But so they're working on fighting that right now. I know Samantha is working hard on that. She's been calling me every day to see, are you going to sue Boulder? Are you going to sue Boulder? And if that does come through, we probably will.
Yeah,
because it's a freedom of speech issue.
When is enough enough? I mean,
exactly.
Okay, so it's all about happiness, right? So if Boulder is trying to regulate to get to their level of happiness of allowing this industry in their city, which fantastic, I'm all for regulation.
Absolutely.
But when is that point where it's okay? When is enough enough?
Yeah, are you regulating
how airtight do you have to make this?
It's not like it's a nuclear product,
right?
But
it's starting to not rocket science.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that's how
plant
they're
science.
regulating. Yeah, plant science.
Plant science.
How do you feel about how the regulatory framework's looking for you guys as an edible? I mean, it's not an edible, as a concentrate company.
Sure.
Is it feeling like it's going to be more limiting now with the retail side, or does it feel like it's not going to be a big difference for you guys?
No, it'll definitely have a major impact on our business, in an impact that's good. Like we're all about testing. There's labs. Obviously we test with Can Labs. We love Jen, and we think they do a bang up fire job.
They do.
What's that?
She's asking if she should call in.
She can absolutely call in.
Okay, perfect. There you go. Hey, speak of the devil.
Yeah, speak of the devil, and she tries to call in.
But as far as regulations are concerned, it's round two. We went through the first round with 1284, and now it's second round with the recreational, which we got in under the wire before October 1st, and we've applied. We've paid for a licensing, and we will be getting that here at the end of December. And it's a whole new kind of regulatory kind of bar that we have to jump high and get over the top. And also at that point that we're jumping and going over the top, we're also creating that level. So, I think it's that bar is really high. What are the impacts? I'm all for testing. Hopefully they'll figure out if it's going to be, every strain or if they're going to do batch. I think there's some things that are still being worked on.
Sure.
And as far as the laboratory requirements and I'm all for it. I've always said that this whole industry has gone, especially in concentrates, it's gone from the garage to the laboratory, and it's this exodus or movement from one to the other. And so we're putting all of our resources towards it, and hopefully we'll be on the other side of it here come either January 1st or whenever they start imposing it.
So we've been following, and I think more, and we're guilty of it in the magazine, but we've already made a concerted effort to change that in this next issue, talking about all the regulatory frameworks. But we've been following so much on the dispensary and the retail side, because you're not really retail, you're a wholesaler.
Right.
So we've been following that. Obviously the big one is now they're allowing dual licensing, which is a great thing that they're allowing that for the dispensaries. Now, is it going to be the same kind of a deal for you guys as well? I mean, are you still going to be called MIPS? I mean, I'm assuming not. Medically infused product manufacturer.
That's a good question. That's a great question. I'd like to get that answered myself.
Okay.
I don't know the exact answer to that, but I do know that you're right. I mean, it seems like within the last couple years with the House Bill 1284 and the MMED, regulating the dispensaries and the MMCs, we're seeing it now. The not the gun sites. I hate to use it in a negative term, but they're really starting to focus on the MIPS and the edibles, and rightfully so.
Yeah, sure.
If people are ingesting, you want to make sure it's tested and well approved, and if there's any issues, it can be recalled. But it's kind of our turn to kind of get a little bit under the microscope, and but as far as the recreational, my opinion is, obviously I think, and this is a shared opinion, is recreational. They're doing this right now, but medical is soon to follow. So everything that recreational is setting up, anybody that's not recreational within the next 2 years needs to kind of keep pushing forward and looking at the model of recreational, because it's just a matter of time before medical is going to have to adopt the same standards. And nobody really knows if medical is going to go away or if recreational is going to take over. I mean, there's a bunch of questions and unknowns, but yeah, it's definitely our turn to step up.
Right, but there's not an effect on you guys as far as, okay, you're going to be able to sell to medical and the retail side. It doesn't matter either way.
Right. Now, what we had to do is, so obviously we have a medical MIPS license. So that's a good question, because it's going back to your original your original question is, what are we going to be called for recreational? I'm assuming it's MIPS, but we as a MIPS had to purchase a recreational license to be able to wholesale to the recreational shops. Gotcha. So we're dual licensed now as well.
Okay.
So just like the shops that are having to go through hearings right now, and they're having to figure out their virtual spaces or whatever's going to be required to be able to sell recreational and medical, we're going to have to keep 2 sets of books as well as a MIPS company or a concentrate company.
Do you have to do 2 separate grows as well, or is that something that's not necessary?
I don't quite know. Okay. I don't think so, but then again, I don't want to
Right, because you don't need patient-sponsored plants like
no, we don't.
Do.
So what we are is, as a MIPS, we have a 500 plant count, and we're in the process of going back to the med. Our business has grown exponentially, and so our next focus for first quarter of 2014 is to go and expand our OPC grow. Gotcha. But that's.
So, and you may not know these questions. Maybe I'm asking questions that you're like, oh,
no, these are good. I should be writing this shit down.
But you can always listen to the recording later.
That's what I'll do.
So, like a perfect example, like Patient's Choice provided you the bud for the MK Ultra.
Sure.
Now, obviously, there's been a lot of deals for concentrate companies like yourself to do the infusion for companies that provide the bud like that. Mm-hmm. I'm curious as to how that's going to work on the retail side of things. When you talking about recreationally, are they going to be? Are you going to have to buy that product? So there's the excise tax, and then resell it again with another excise. I'm just
interesting.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Your brain's going on this.
My brain is, because it wouldn't surprise me that they're going to be like, oh, well, we can get taxed twice on this, So I'm very curious as to how those kind of deals are going to work. Where you're like, okay, we'll provide the service for you, we'll do the extraction, and then you can, buy the product back from us.
Well, let me make a clarification, because my business partner's just texted. And she says,
thanks for listening, Shannon.
MIP, yeah. Hello, Shannon. Hello, Mahatma. MIP is marijuana infused products. That's what she's saying here. MIP is marijuana infused products.
Got it. Perfect. So that
instead
won't
of medical.
Then.
There you go. Yeah, there we go. Hey.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Keep the answers coming.
Keep the answers coming, Shannon. You could call in too if you want to answer some of these. Speaking of which, you said Jen was going to call in. Is she not making it in?
Never. She said, just kidding.
Just kidding.
Okay.
That's messed up.
The big Thursday joke.
I was getting all excited.
I know, huh?
I know. That's interesting, though. All right. So, some questions to be answered here on the
for sure.
infused product side.
Sure.
I am curious about these. So these are I'm gonna have to make sure my writers listen to the show and start asking these questions.
Well, that, and maybe down the road here in the next few weeks we can get Shannon on, and
love to have her.
she's really in charge of compliancy.
Gotcha.
And she hates that title, and she doesn't want it, but I've really begged her.
But you're like, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, my plate's full. I can't eat anymore.
I made a small plate. So it feels like
exactly.
That's one of those things that I'm not a big. I always ask the questions about it, but I'm like, I don't want to be the person to look into this stuff. That's why I have writers.
Right. No, that's true. And a lot of it is, there's, and I recall this from, House Bill 1284, and if you were in this back in 2009, it was this, what do we do? Oh my gosh, it hasn't been spelled out yet. Well, a lot of panicking, or a lot of just an undue stress, and so I think what we're trying to do is wait till the MMED kind of gets through with their rulings and their second and third drafts, and approach it with, okay, once they kind of give the all the guidelines as far as what's going to be asked of us, then we'll kind of know. It's always a speculatory.
It's a little bit of wait and see every time.
It's a wait and see, and then there's a lot of hypotheticals, and
yeah, and then you look at the regulations and you're like, okay, now what can we argue to change, and how long is that process going to take?
Sure.
So, I would imagine, and we have to go on a break in just a moment, but I would imagine that, a year or two from now, we're going to go revisit all the regulations they put in and say, okay, well, this isn't working quite as well as we thought. There's going to have to be some adjustments there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, we got to go on break.
I know
we'll hit
do.
this afterwards.
Look at you. You're handling this for me. It's perfect. We'll be back in just a moment with Brett from Mahatma Extreme Concentrates.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
The Law Office of Edson Maton and Matz provides criminal defense, family law, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running a medical marijuana center, optional premises cultivation operation, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout the state of Colorado. We're focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. WarrenEdson.com. Edson Maton and Matz in Denver, 303-831-8188, and in Aspen, 970-948-7183. WarrenEdson.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
All right, we're back. You didn't even tell me we're coming back. I just mid-sentence. God, Chris, you're slipping. It's because he had some MK Ultra, actually.
MK Ultra, he did. He's doing him well.
So, back on Mahatma real quick here. So we know you guys are about to enter into the shatter market. What are some of the other future plans for you guys as a company? Are you guys thinking about expanding into other states?
That's a little premature now, but it's in our minds.
Yeah.
We're at this point with the brand that, we're still stabilizing and launching Shatter, and there's some new products in 2014 that we're looking at and doing a little R&D on as we speak.
Any products you can talk about?
Any products. Extraction products and technique.
Okay.
We're right now we're hydrocarbon based. I think we've nailed that. We're spot on. The next step I think for us is to get into some, I don't like to say solventless, but solvent free, free of solvents.
I'm not a big fan of the solventless either, because water is a solvent.
It is technically. That's what has been said. But as far as getting into extraction, if we're an extraction company, which is part of us, we have a MIP service where we process for other companies and other medical marijuana centers, and so not every center technically wants hydrocarbon extraction on their shelves, although it's really come a long way and as clean as wax can get. But it would be nice as an extraction company to offer different extractions. So that's what's really on our radar for 2014 is getting into water hash, bubble hash, which if Jeremy's listening right now, he's one of my lead managing extraction techs, and he's all about it. He's chomping at the bit, and he'd probably firebomb Mahatma if I gave that position to somebody else. But we're looking to get into water extraction and CO2. With the whole dabbable market, I don't think that CO2 or those products are quite there yet. I'd like to kind of
agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'd like to try to get in and do a little R&D. That's expensive equipment to start R&Ding on. But
it is, yeah.
For the most part, there is a niche for Mahatma at some point in 2014 to get into CO2 extraction, and that way, if we want to start launching cartridges, that seems like a big movement right now. Although we find that we're always coming in late in the game, but that's great because then we can do the cleanup at the end with the right product.
Well, that's kind of how we did it,
Yeah,
we weren't late in the game. I think our timing was perfect as a magazine, but we came in after Kush magazine.
That's right.
And Kush went out of business shortly afterwards.
Yeah,
and everyone, but when they were in business, one of the things he gives, Kush is already here. Why are you guys even bothering?
Right.
And it was like, we've been watching Kush, and they made a lot of mistakes.
Sure,
and,
absolutely.
And we made sure we didn't make those
and
same mistakes. I'm not going to say we didn't make mistakes, but we didn't make the same mistakes.
Correct.
Correct. And I think that it kind of benefits to come a little bit fashionably late to the party.
Fashionably late, yes.
Stoner late to the party.
Stoner late to the fashionable party.
Exactly. So you get to see, but my thing, I want to ask you about the CO2 side, because I'm not as well versed on CO2 because it's just not as available out there. Really, I see CO2 more seems to be happening in the cartridges. Am I wrong in thinking that?
Yeah, cartridges. I've not met anybody that's pretty in love with dabbing, whether it be shatter wax or any type of oil.
The flavor doesn't seem to be there, does it?
It's from what my understanding, and this is strictly just what I'm picking up hearsay, but there's maybe a certain amount of cannabinoids that aren't being pulled through that there are in different techniques with either solvent or solventless. I mean, it really depends on the extraction method, but it's not really good to dab.
Right. It makes more sense for
well, or
certain edibles or something like that.
True, and the THC contents aren't as high, so I definitely agree with you on that. As far as the CO2, I think that's kind of, I think everybody right now in the market, they're either producing, CO2 refill cartridges for pens and vaporizers. I've seen a little movement on a product that it's been said that it dabs well, so I'd like to try that and kind of put my head around that a little bit. But for the most part, it is a clean way to go, and let's face it, there's going to be a sector of the marketplace that's going to want something that doesn't carry solvent. There's going to be a market that enjoys solvent, and so to be able to cater to that in 2014, that's where we're trying to go locally. To round back to your question as far as nationally and branding, I think we're still a little premature. I think our sights are kind of going to where we'd like to continue building the brand and start to push forward. But there's still a lot of work to do this year, especially with recreational and the licensing. I was going to say, if recreational wasn't coming about and we had a whole nother year in the market, medical market, I would say, yeah, without a doubt, Mahatma would be kind of flying in the next state or two. But recreational's got us bogged down, and I think it's going to be a good thing.
I
think we're going to
agree.
be busy as we could ever be.
I think that's what it is I think there was a lot of companies like in the past, like before 64 passed, I should say, that were all, we're ready, we're going to expand there, we're going to expand here, we're going to expand there, and then 64 passed, and like even then they were still saying that, and then a couple months passed, and then they started thinking about it, and they started going, okay, wait a minute. How am I going to keep up with any of this if I can't keep up with the market I'm already in?
That's absolutely true.
And so you talked about expanding your OPC. Do you think, do you still foresee a cannabis shortage in the first, let's say quarter of 2014 because of the retail market?
My guess would be, without a doubt. It goes back to, within any industry, whether it be, a box of bread or, a box of concentrates, it's supply demand. Yeah. And so I think just with the way the rules seem to be written that, this out-of-state vacation, these people that are going to come, they're going to enjoy the beauty of Colorado and everything that it has to offer, mountains, snow, summertime, rivers, and also, marijuana year-round. And that's a beautiful thing. And so, I think we're poised, everybody that's in the game now and any latecomers that are coming in, obviously it's going to be a lot more expensive to kind of get an upstart.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be interesting. I think, the first couple weeks in January might be okay if there's enough licensed companies, but I'm guessing like beginning of February is when it's going to start hurting.
Sure. And it's no different than, like this outdoor pull that's always going on in California. It always dries up late summer and everybody's kind of jonesing for it, and then the market gets flooded and it goes until, January, February.
Well, and I think we have a good idea in the market now as to when it fluctuates and,
True,
when
absolutely.
I think it's going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of people talking about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this is when cannabis becomes a commodity on the trading in the stock market, as a commodity for trades, like, they're doing pork bellies and, orange juice.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're going to see cannabis as, and seeing that market fluctuate. I think that's going to be interesting. There's been talk about that for years.
Sure.
But obviously we're getting closer to that possibly being a fruition.
Well, and that's it. I mean, the commodity with Mahatma per se, just with our product in general, we're looking at holding or trying to figure out how to hold some back so we can strike while the iron's hot, if you will. Getting into the first quarter of 2014 with recreational. Is it going to be February and it's dry and concentrate prices are $100 a gram? I don't know. no, but I would like to be able to, kind of control my market a little bit as best I can to possibly have some reserve that I can bring out and strike while the iron's hot.
Do you think concentrate prices are undervalued right now?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I think
we're doing a feature on that next issue about what is.
Oh, nice.
Well, it might end up becoming a 3-part series, but we wanted to break down the price from like seed to sale of just the flour, concentrates, and edibles. And in my opinion, I actually think it's all undervalued.
Sure, across the board.
Across the board.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's going to be patients out there that are going to be mad at me, like, no, it's too expensive right now as it is. It's like, yeah, but you don't understand how much it costs to go into making this medical grade, so to speak, or even on the retail side, to make it something that's going to be a clean product, always guaranteed clean when people get it into their hands. And I don't think that people understand that because they're so used to that black market pricing.
Absolutely.
It's going to be
the ugly stepchild.
It is the ugly stepchild, but you don't have to pay for taxes, you don't have to pay for regulation, you don't have to pay for testing, you don't have to, make sure.
You got to pay for an attorney, though.
Yeah.
So
you do have to pay for an attorney.
When you get popped and you pay for an attorney,
true.
I speak from experience.
Yeah, but they don't pass that on to their consumers, I guess.
Right, that's a cost that stops there. Yeah. Undervalued very much, almost 1,000%. Not to say that the margins aren't good right now in business. But as we grow as an industry and as margins kind of dwindle down and become a little bit more realistic, like any other type of industry, but at the end of the day, I do feel that. Anybody that gets into business is allowed to make money. Is it about really trying to bend it over to somebody? Absolutely not. But when it goes into the cost of creating something, and especially in such a heavily regulated industry as we are becoming, I think the costs are going to fluctuate just on that level alone, outside of the supply and the demand. Right. So, I'm all about patience, and I'm all about not gouging somebody and just creating something that's fair. I'm not in control of what's going to happen, nor is anybody. But as you were saying earlier, when you get into this commodity idea, there is going to be some manipulation of the market where there are going to be people that are in control of this commodity down the road, and we'll manipulate it, and I'm sure that'll be regulated at some point.
Well, I find it interesting, too, because the state is already talking about coming up with, for the excise taxes, coming up with this is what a pound should cost, and this is what this should cost. So they're basically trying to say this is what your costs are. Well, what if they're wrong? What if you're doing like a more boutique method that it costs more to produce that strain
specific? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, how is that going to change it? Or what if you're doing a really huge grow that's creating a bunch of cheaper swag, not necessarily swag, but like a cheaper product, because you're doing it in bulk and then you're turning it into using mostly for trim and the bud for concentrates. Well, then that cost should be a little bit lower. So I find it interesting that the state's talking about regulating that themselves.
And it is already here. I've talked to we do some process trim contracting as a part of our company, and revenue and some of the bigger contracts that we have. One of their main concerns. I was talking to an owner today, and she had mentioned that they're running 90 strains, and she's having to cull the herd down upwards of 30. And so just with what she's anticipating that's going to happen in this recreational market in 2014. To be strain specific and to be testing each and every strain is, number one, going to be very burdensome on labs like Can Labs with Jen and others that might come into the market.
I'm sure they'd be happy with that burden because it just means more product, more. But it is going to be difficult. You're right.
Yeah, it's almost it's almost going to take away the strain specific stuff. So you're going to start getting people bulking. On a processing side, it's the strain specific is somewhat endangered in my opinion.
Wow. See, I never even occurred to me that was going to be a problem. But
that makes because it's going to be it's not going to be cost inducive to be able to run strain specific if we have to test every strain.
Right.
So what's going to happen is people are just going to toss a bunch of strains in the mix, put it in a 5 or a 10 liter hopper, and extract it. And you kind of lose that boutique sense of the actual strain itself, and then the attributes that it carries as far as the medicine values of each and every strain.
So there's a danger of almost getting into this generic strain. When it comes to concentrates, I guess specifically, where you're like, okay, well, here's are shatter.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. And I do like the strain specific.
Now, do you remember, going back a few years ago, it was always about sativa or indica and, the extractions that were coming out. That's basically, it was a general generic.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it got strain specific, which it blew up at the same time as, concentrates and dabs. And, it's hard to take that back away from somebody. So our major goal in 2014 is to roll with the punches, but try to stay true to the strain specific, even though it might cost more to be able to produce. And that's my biggest fear as a concentrate company coming into these new rules and regulations is how expensive is it going to be able to maintain my operation to be strain specific and do small batch runs?
Well, is it going to have to be, would you have to make a choice? Because my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, is, okay, so you have to test all of your product, every batch. When if I have 5 strains in this
every
harvest,
strain in the
I have
batch.
to test every single strain. So would you start adjusting your harvest so that, okay, we're just going to do MK Ultra in this 1 week batch, so we only have to test that, and that's how you can do the strain specific still, but it'll be week rollouts, so people are going to have to start looking forward to their strains.
And at the end of the day, there's going to be less variety on the shelves, whether it be medical or whether it be recreational. Less variety. And, variety is a spice of life, as they say.
Well, hopefully, and we have to go on a break, so before we go on a break, I just want to say this. Hopefully, there's going to be enough power underneath the cannabis industry in a year or so of all the tax revenue that we can come back to them and say, look, this is how we want to do this. This is the type of service we want to provide for our people, and you're not allowing that. And so maybe we can come back and
strangling
change
it
that.
in a way.
Exactly.
It's a wait and see. Hurry up and wait and see.
It's always a hurry up and wait and see. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with Brett from Mahatma.
This segment was brought to you by The Farm, a medical marijuana care center located at 2801 Iris Street in Boulder. The Farm carries premium cannabis, edibles, and Hummingbird brand products. Visit our new cannabis lifestyle store for your local artesian glass, vaporizers, and hemp clothing. The Farm has been serving Boulder since 2009. Isn't it time you come and see what we have to offer?
High up in the Rockies is beautiful Frisco, Colorado. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is a medical marijuana center with compassion for Colorado's medical patients. Looking for great meds grown organically in soil? You've come to the right place. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is just off I-70 at exit 203. Check them out at the web at www.mmrockies.com. Their ever-changing strain and clone selection is updated on the website daily. When making a trip to the mountains, no matter the season, stop by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure you say you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. You can call 970-668-MEDS to get more information. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
All right, we are back with Brett from Mahatma Extreme Concentrates. Once again, winning best overall for their MK Ultra powered by Patient's Choice in the HempConnoisseur Championship. So, first of all, I mean, you know, timing is everything, like we've said a couple times already.
Right.
And
right.
you guys,
the older you get, the more you realize.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys have stepped in as becoming one of the premier boutique concentrate companies right in the midst of what I would call the dab culture explosion, you know, or it's like the dabbing renaissance or whatever you want to call it.
That's a good word for it. Yeah,
the dabassance.
The dabassance. Trademark that.
Yeah, we're going to trademark that. There's a lot of pros and cons to the dabbing culture. I mean, I think the negative that I would point out is I think more of how it appears to people. You know, when people who don't know what they're seeing see somebody with like a butane torch blowing up a pipe, I mean, it's starting to look like
1985.
Yeah, it's starting to look like this little illicit thing. Yeah, it does. You know, and we know it's not.
Sure.
So, like, I mean, what are your thoughts about how this culture has been forming?
You know, on the positive side, and it's always positive with a little sprinkle of negative. But for the most part, this culture it's really a fantastic energy. And you said it right. I mean, I think timing is everything. I think we've nailed it. We've been able to become a part of it. We've been able to support it. And I think that the three key elements is you have music, you have art, and you have marijuana. And those are back in the '60s. I mean, that's what was going on as well. And it kind of got quashed with the Nixon Nixon era and all the regulation that came in, and Republicans. Not so bad. Yeah, I don't care one way or another.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's a beautiful energy. And I think when you start looking at it with, you've got businessmen, and then you have kind of like this little revolution that's going on in marijuana, and it's very energetic and it's very empowering. And you've got art, you've got from glass makers to blowing glass to this expression of their artistic abilities. Music is no different. You bring that into play, and it's like a trifecta combo of really good positive vibes. How that is being looked at by the powers that be or bigger business that's coming back in. When I say coming back in, there was the first wave in 2009 that I saw, and then we just jumped into business, put our head down. But I'm seeing this new resurgence of people coming into the state and all this investment money, and they're just not. They're looking at it, kind of frowning upon it, but it's really what's really spawning and really moving the industry. I mean, who's coming into the dispensaries to buy concentrate? It's this movement. It's the young crowd. It's the 20 to 30s. Don't get me wrong. There's old hippies and people my age.
I love how he points at me. Don't get me wrong. You're us old guys here.
This guy right here.
But it is. It's a new thing for me. I mean, obviously, in the last couple of years, I tried hash back in the day, scraped it down and put it in your little hash pipe and loved it. But it was never like something that was easily accessible, obviously, on the black market. And even when we came in here, it was like the bud was so good. It was like, who needs hash? I can have, I mean, this flower is amazing.
Right.
What?
Telephone
we got
call.
A call.
Here we go. Is it Jen?
Is it Jen? Hello.
Yeah, me.
Is that Jen from Can Labs?
It's me.
How are you, Jen?
I got to turn you guys off. Hold on.
Reverb.
Okay, so I have some. So you were talking about dabbing, right?
We were.
And when people talk about dabbing, and you were saying when you smoked hash way back when, dabbing was hot knives.
Yes, it was, and that's true. We did
right?
the hot knife. Yes,
OG hot knife.
Yep. So that's what it was. I mean, now we're obviously more sophisticated in the process.
Exactly. But I mean, dabbing is a new concept, but really that's what it was like, right? In the 70s and 80s.
True. But, I think what's really kind of the stigma of the negativity is when you're, the hot knife, you were putting it on your burner, right? Your electric burner, or you're putting it over a flame or a heat source.
Yeah.
Now we're whipping out crack torches.
We are.
I hate to say crack and concentrate, but, the ability or the eye recognition of a torch, like you said, and a small glass vessel, it brings negative undertone from the 80s.
Thank you.
It
Thank
does.
you for that visual.
Yeah, Chris had to give you the
there we
visual.
go.
Of course, he's out of fuel because he's already been using it all day.
Oh,
so.
he has.
I know. Well, I typed in and I said 420, and all of a sudden I see this cloud of smoke come across you guys.
Chris
it's
likes
really been a joy to do this. I got to remember you're on every day because I am just having a great time.
Are you? Oh, well, good. Well, yeah, you got to remember.
Yeah, I'm going to tune up my radio now in the shop.
Well, we'll be listening. We listen to Jen whenever I can, but I'm usually in the car, so I can't listen to you. But we got to have you back on the show, Jen.
The only butane hash I smoke is Mahatma.
Aha! Oh, look at that. Now
we've won her over.
That's a great endorsement from a lab that's testing on a regular basis. She knows what's clean and what's not, and the fact that she's testing, she's dabbing your product is
that's a huge compliment. I'll definitely take that from you, Jen. Thank you.
By the way, I have to a little Jen story here. I think it was about a month and a half ago. We hadn't seen each other for a while, and Jen, the first thing out of Jen's mouth, besides "Hey, honey, love you, good to see you," I started dabbing.
Wait, she doesn't want this to be known. Last time I talked to her. Exactly.
Well, you already just said the only product you dab, so we all know you dab now. You can't. The cat's out of the bag.
Cut his mic immediately.
I use a dabbing utensil.
Use a dabbing utensil. Yeah. No knife hits for you.
No knife hits.
But no, she was so excited about because at first she was all like a little apprehensive, and now she's like, "Oh my god, I love it! It's great."
I mean, it's kind of like putting on a new pair of shoes, and it's
it is.
And
right? It's clean.
It is.
It really is, and if you, it's just you can just feel it clean. You don't hold it in. I don't know. It's just I really do enjoy it, and obviously you have to take less of that than you do when you're smoking flower.
Absolutely.
Are you an old school hot knifer?
No, I did it once in high school.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
This guy named Kevin.
Uh-huh.
And I barfed my my guts out, and it was pressed hash or whatever. I don't even know how he got it.
That's true.
It's the only time I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Okay, I'll do it, and then I was barfing.
No, it has come a long way, man, and it's going a lot further. Like I don't know if anybody's out there on Instagram, but Instagram is a huge little network, for a lot of this community, and we're piped into it, and we love it. It's easy and quick. Take pictures, do a few words on posting, but you get to see everything as a collaboration across the United States. East Coast, West Coast, from dispensaries to extraction artists, to extraction companies, to glass blowing is really, it trips me out.
Well, yeah, and you're right. I think it's a great point that the dabbing culture has allowed glass artists to come up with whole new ideas with the rigs that they're putting together, like this one, and I almost burnt my hand on it, but hey, that was hot.
Fire.
That stuff is hot.
Well, look on Facebook at Lauren. Actually, I think she changed her name to Lauren Dabbs. She just posted a picture of a trumpet that is actually a dab rig. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's
sweet.
sweet.
You can pull it up
That's
right
pretty
now.
cool.
Oh
Where's
my
it
God.
on?
She
Lauren
just posted
Dabbs
it.
on Facebook. Now everybody's going to Lauren Dabbs right now. Check
Right,
this
right.
trumpet out.
I've seen that too.
It's pretty incredible.
Is
I'm
it
sure.
Jen? Is it the one that has it's a vessel and it has butane and a lighter that's all part of it? Have you
I
seen
don't
those?
know.
I've seen those from Dougie at Hitman Glass. Those are cool.
He's got this train that he just popped out a few days ago. Oh, I'm looking at the trumpet right here. Oh, that's sweet.
Let's see it.
Is
Check
that
that out.
unbelievable?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can
That
play
is cool.
sweet concentrate
That
music
is
on that
really
baby.
Cool.
Put it up in the camera.
Can
see
you
if
can you
know
set
what?
it up?
At,
Can you set it up so it makes sound while you're dabbing?
That called? Yes, that's it.
Dabby
I know.
Gillespie.
Whatever show we
We're full of
went to.
puns in the cannabis
Did you
industry.
see
Can't help it.
the Spaceball RV?
Yeah, I did. That one is super sweet.
I never saw
You've
the
never
Spaceball.
seen that
No,
one?
I haven't
Oh
seen it.
yeah, it's a
But
great.
it's a Spaceball RV.
It's a sweet, yeah, the
Oh, that's
Spaceball
funny.
RV. Yeah, it's amazing just the
I'll text
ideas
it
and
to you.
stuff that are coming.
Well, yeah, and
through
we got
on
the dab
glass.
buses. It's funny because there's dab buses. It's not like there's a pot bus where people can go in and they're like, here, have some free joints, but they're doing dab busing.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I
dab.
guess it'd be cleaner, right?
Yeah, but it's always still best to be outdoors.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, totally.
it's if
It
I had the choice. Well, we did actually at
We
the
did.
THC HempConnoisseur
That's
Championship. We were parked out on that patio all night. And I guess there
Pretty
was
much.
some dab bus or something outside that
There was
I
the
think
dab
left
bus
early.
outside. Yeah, did they leave early?
They did. I don't think there was anybody utilizing.
You know
it.
why? Because everybody brought their own.
That's what it
That
was.
what it
So
was.
they sell stuff on the
No,
dab
they
bus?
don't sell. They provide it for free. Actually.
Oh, okay.
You know, I
All
think
right.
they just take tips.
We're a bunch of pot snobs, though. See,
That's true.
You
That's
bring your
true.
own.
Well,
But there was better medication in Castleman's
it
than
was,
outside.
Yeah, it was a who's
in
who
a
of the
dab bus.
cannabis industry
That's
that
true.
night. I
That's
mean,
very
everybody
true.
brought their best to show it off, whether they won or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that it
All
maybe.
right, boys.
Are you leaving us?
I got to run.
All right,
All
Jen.
You
right.
guys have a great day. Thank you for
Well,
the entertainment. I loved it.
Thank
Good
you
talking
for the
with you.
entertainment.
Yeah, you
Take
too.
care, Jen.
Take care.
Bye, honey.
Bye.
Good times. Good times.
Well, we actually have to wrap this puppy up, but I thanks for calling in, Jen. By the way,
Yeah, nice.
yeah, one of my favorite people in the industry. Such a sweetheart. And check out In the Lab with Jennifer on Mondays at 3 to 4. Mondays from 3 to 4. In the Lab with Jennifer. Brett, thank you so much for joining us. Again, congratulations on your guys' win.
Thank you. Thank you very
Congratulations to Patient's Choice for providing the
much. For
MK
sure.
Ultra
Yeah,
Bar.
that was some fire product.
How can people find out more about Mahatma?
We're in the process of bumping up the presence on Facebook.
Okay.
But Facebook's always a good one. Instagram is Mahatma Concentrates.
Okay.
We've got a ton of postings and pictures, and you get to really get a good vibe and an insight to something that via picture and short text. But you could always call us. We're online. Our telephone number is 720-763-4151. If anyone is interested in any of our products to have on their shelves as wholesale or to do some process trim trade contracting.
Cool. Do you guys have a website for people to check out?
And we do. MahatmaConcentrates.com.
MahatmaConcentrates.com.
Yep.
Is it Mahatma Concentrates on Facebook as well?
Yes, Mahatma Concentrates across the board.
All right. And the phone number again is
720-763-4151.
Right on. All right. Well, great having you
Perfect,
here
man.
today,
Yeah,
Brett.
it was a good time. I was a
Yeah,
little
man.
apprehensive getting on the radio. I've never done it
Everybody's
before.
apprehensive.
Yeah,
Everybody's
this is
apprehensive
just shooting the
first
shit.
time. Yeah, we love breaking shit.
Yeah, I love
here.
it. I love
It's fun. All right. Well, we'll definitely have to have you on. We'll have Shannon on next time so she can answer all the tough questions.
Yeah, the tough ones. I'll put her underneath the microscope.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So
get your shit straight now, Shannon.
Yeah, you got to enjoy it from the bleachers this time, Shannon. Next time you're taking center stage.
Yeah, you know what? She does her homework. She'll be a ball
ready.
full of fire on here.
Really
Yeah,
good.
for sure.
She's probably already writing down the answers to all the questions I asked today.
No, she's motherfucking me right now. She's like, that motherfucker, throw me underneath the bus.
That's what we do here. That's what you get for not being on the radio, is you get thrown under the bus for later on.
Good time.
All right, man. It's a great time. Thanks again, Brett.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Chris.
So
Good
once
show.
again, guys, Mahatma Concentrates, man. They got some great stuff, winning lots of accolades, and take a look out for their shatter, man, because it is good.
Here
when
we
that
come.
comes out. Yeah.
The packaging's pretty sick too.
Is it?
Yeah, the marketing packaging behind it.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Right on.
stoked.
Right
So yeah,
on, cool.
thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, pal.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. All right, guys. Until next time, peace, love, and hempiness.